help! Help! Somebody help us!
Somebody help me, Mom! Mom!
We need help!
Roller coasters, thrill or kill. Jane Nix, 29, a janitor and single mother, dies when her head somehow smashes into one of the ride's beams. The dead woman's 14-year-old daughter, Mary, was sitting next to her but was unharmed. CEO Michael Odell of Paganon Corporation, which owns the theme park, shut the ride down to ensure that no one else would be hurt. The girl's guardian had been negotiating a settlement with the park, but this bombshell. Controversial attorney Ron Trott and his firm TNT&G have taken over the wrongful death suit. The case promises to be contentious. Lloyd Barrett of the corporate law firm Saunders & Lee defends the amusement park. Trott and Barrett have squared off many times, and it's no secret that they detest one another.
She took her daughter out for a good time and went home in a body bag, Lloyd.
So make me a real offer.
Quit wasting my time. Give me an amount that makes up for making a 14-year-old girl an orphan.
Quit being dramatic, Ron. There's no press here. An orphan. Give me a break.
Is that funny to you?
We're so sorry about what happened to your mom. All we want to do is help. We're hoping that the theme park will give you enough to take care of you.
Thank you. I just don't understand. Why aren't they going to jail for killing my mom?
This isn't that kind of a case. This is a civil case. In a civil case, money is how we make things right. Or at least as right as we can. That's what we're going to do as your lawyers. Try to make things right.
But I thought Miss Wallace was my lawyer.
She is. A judge appointed her to be your legal guardian. It's her job to look out for you. Sort of like a parent.
But you can't do my case.
I'm sorry. Honey, I tried, I really did, but I'm a family lawyer. Mr. Graves and his firm are trial lawyers.
But you said I wouldn't have to be in a trial. I really don't like talking about what happened to my mom. Do I have to go to court and talk about it?
We hope to settle the case. But if the park isn't fair, we may have to.
Mary, your mother worked hard to give you everything that you needed. A home, food, education. But she is not here. But she would still want you to have those things. Plus, a good future. College, a career. Your own family one day.
How do you know all this? You didn't know her, did you?
No. I never met your mother. But I have a little girl of my own. And a son, too. You see, all mothers and fathers are the same. They just want their kids taken care of. And your mother would want someone to make sure you'll be okay. And that's what we're here for.
You've got no case.
The girl was sitting next to her mom when she was killed. She was covered with her mother's blood.
She assumed the risk of injury the second she got on that ride.
Guys, let's talk through this. Let's talk how much a life is worth. Let's start with the love and support Jane would have offered Mary had she lived. Jane was holding down 2 part-time jobs while attending community college, which would have allowed her to buy a home, where this mom would have watched her daughter grow up, celebrated her daughter's marriage, and played with her grandchildren. All of life's major events.
That's very touching, Ron. But did you know that she ran out on her family when Mary was just a baby?
No, she had a drug problem. She went to rehab, took care of it.
Yeah, after Mary spent 6 months living with Grandma.
She had her life together since then. Jane was a good mom.
Yeah, jury might not agree. Jury might think she was the kind of gal who would have dropped out of school, gone back to booze and drugs, met some guy, dumped the kid in a year or 2, and jumped to Mexico. Now, what's a life like that worth? Not much.
You know when they say businessmen are sons of bitches? But you corporate law firm guys take the cake.
Fact is, Jane Nix is worth more dead than alive, economically and to her daughter. The offer is $500,000. It's twice what I offered the girl's guardian. I'm being generous.
Your settlement offer is officially rejected, Lloyd.
Good. For a second there, I was afraid you'd take it. I'll see you in court.
Mr. Odell, just one question, please. I have one question for you. You're CEO of Paganon Corporation. What do you say to the little girl who lost her mother? Yes, sir.
Well, so often in business, we're afraid to say we're sorry. I'm not.
The all-American face of corporate America. He's you without a law degree.
You know, I think it's interesting that Mr. Trott refers to his client as a victim. Victim? Jane Nix not only abandoned her child, she abused drugs and committed crimes, including theft.
It was a juvenile shoplifting conviction that was expunged, inadmissible at trial.
This confirms their strategy. Blame Jane. They're hoping if they dirty her up enough, they won't have to pay as much at trial.
We expected this from Ron Trott and TNT&G. They care more about winning cases than keeping good companies in business and employing good people.
Listen to Lloyd, and they say I spin.
Corporation's the victim? That's not going to sell with a jury.
I'm not hearing a good story from them yet.
There's no way they can win with what they're putting out now.
You know, we're not going to put up with Mr. Trott's antics, because the fact is, Jane Nix's death was the result of a suicide. Thank you.
What did he just say?
That Jane killed herself on the roller coaster.
They're saying they don't owe Mary a thing? That's their story? That they're not liable because she staged her own death?
That son of a bitch. Lloyd wanted a war. He's got one. 100% innocent.
I'm the innocent bystander. Somehow I got stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the lawyers, guns, and money.
Like I always say, if you got the right lawyer with you, we've got the greatest legal system.
I'm sorry you had to hear that stuff about your mom, Mary.
My mom wouldn't kill herself. If she didn't, I was sitting right next to her.
We know, Mary. We're sorry.
My mom said we were best friends. Why didn't she just tell me that she'd been convicted of a crime or that she used drugs, that she dumped me off at Grandma's?
Maybe she just didn't want you to think she was a bad person, Mary.
She should have still told me. I wouldn't have cared.
Parents don't think kids should know everything. Your mother made a mistake when she was young. People do that. I haven't told my kids everything I've done.
Well, you should. It sucks to have to hear from other people.
She doesn't want to go through with this, does she?
Do you blame her? She's afraid of what else might come out about her mother. Okay, what's our story, Ron?
Our story is the theme park is to blame for Jane's death.
We don't know why they're to blame. We don't know how the accident even happened. All we know is Jane died as a result of her head somehow hitting the roller coaster beam.
At least we know their story. Jane committed suicide.
It's kind of a bizarre way to commit suicide.
Luther, do we know if Jane was suicidal?
We're still looking, but at this point, nothing suggests she was.
Do they know something we don't?
We need to find out. Remember, this is a civil case, which means the burden is on us to prove the park is to blame for this. If we don't, we lose this case and get nothing.
You're probably going to say she staged the accident for money, but it went too far.
She intended to hit the beam? How are they going to prove that?
The accident report says that Jane's seatbelt was unbuckled when park security showed up, so that they're either going to say she never buckled it or unbuckled it during the ride.
Plenty of other people could have unbuckled the belt after the accident. Paramedics who showed up on the scene, the ride operator.
Maybe the ride operator failed to make sure it was on properly to start with. If so, this is employee negligence.
Alden, track down who was operating the ride that day. And we're going to need a reenactment, show the jury what happened. The bloodier, the better. Luther, the firm's resident family man, you prep Mary for trial and deposition. Tom, look into Paganon, see if there were prior lawsuits filed against the park. Get a hold of the company minutes, public filings, employee handbooks, annual reports. I want to know how these guys operate. And I'll deal with trial.
Wait. You're going to try this case? You don't try cases, Ron.
Civil cases are about going after a corporate monster on behalf of the little guy. People want a bare-knuckle brawler who isn't afraid to get down and dirty. Believe me, I may not have great appeal in criminal cases, but civil juries love me.
Hey, Alden. Dr. Kirkland. How's the accident reenactment?
We've run tests on the ride at the same speed and weight distribution as when Jane and Mary rode the coaster. The only problem is it's not working. Take a look. We've input all the correct data, but Jane's head isn't hitting the beam.
She was nearly decapitated, Alden. But it wasn't the beam's fault. According to the ride's design, the beam wasn't too low. If it was, other people would have hit it.
In other words, we can't argue